Hi guys, welcome to another video. It's Ndagire here. Thanks for coming. As always, for the subscribers, thank you so much for your time. I always appreciate it. Today's video is something that I found really interesting as also a person that talks about it a lot, like a lot. I talk about this almost in every other week because it's like something we African people have to get into our medullas, like we need to get into our heads, our brains, and we seem to miss it every time. So apparently Sweden came out and wants to pay immigrants $34,000, which is like 25,000 pounds, for the immigrants to be able to leave Sweden. Guys, excuse the noise, there's some construction that is going on here outside. So please, if the noise is too much, I'm so sorry, I apologize for that. So yeah, that is what is going on. But yeah, watch this clip, come back, and let me say a few things about it.
Take the money and leave, please. The Swedish government is offering to pay immigrants $34,000 if they go back to their home country. The Conservative government's migration minister said that this is part of a paradigm shift in Sweden's migration policy. Migrants who leave voluntarily can apply for the $34,000 beginning in 2026. Now, that amount is 35 times higher than the existing grant, which has been in place since 1984. But officials say that it's relatively unknown and unused. For example, only one person used it last year. 𝗬𝗶𝘀𝗃𝗁 is a journalist and editor at the local Sweden. She joins me tonight from the Swedish city of Malmö. It's good to have you with us, Emma. So who exactly qualifies for these $34,000?
They haven't specified all the details yet, but if we take the current grant as an example, that's only available to refugees or people who are in Sweden because of some other reason of protection and their families. So, like, say, a German white-collar EU worker can't just go, I don't really fancy Stockholm, I'm heading back to Berlin, can I have some travel money, please? And the current grant is also only available to people who already have a residency permit. So you also can't come to Sweden and go, well, actually, I changed my mind, give me money, please. There are also, for the current grant, there are no restrictions on returning to Sweden after you've been given it, but you do lose your residency permit when you receive it. So if you want to return, you have to go through the same rather long-winded process again.
This migration crisis, Commissioner, are you even aware what's going on in Sweden? Ordinary men and women face the consequences of a migration policy that spawned the monster that is gang violence. Where's your pact for the 25-year-old girl blown up by gangsters, or the 71-year-old shot in the pub while having a pint? Your job, Mr. Skinas, I'm sorry, but it's not to be campaign manager for the left. It's to deal with illegal migration. So do your job and inform us on how we escort the boats back to their ports.
Out of all the European countries that claim to have a migrant problem, I think Sweden is the only one that came up with a serious solution to attempt to fix the problem. Because it is alleged that the Scandinavian country, once known as the humanitarian superpower, is offering $34,000 to non-native Swedes to voluntarily agree to permanently leave Sweden. I mean, if a country can go to that length to show you that they do not want you, personally, by the next business day, I would gladly, but with a heavy heart, take that money and sadly leave behind the amazing Swedish tropical warm weather so I can relocate to a colder country such as Senegal, Tanzania, or even 𝗙𝗶𝗿𝗀 and the likes. Jokes aside, listen, I think we've reached a point in human history where it is now clear that governments, through politicians, often create more problems than solutions, and have proven to be the worst middlemen when it comes to negotiating the best interest of their citizens. Look, I firmly believe that most conflicts can be resolved between citizens over a nice meal and a drink without involving politicians at the table, because we all seem to want the same things regardless of where you are under the sun. We all want to be able to live a dignified life in our own countries, have access to basic things in life, and we are willing to put in work for it. But above all, we all want a better future for our children and more, while silencing the sounds of guns. However, the problem we face is that politicians are the troublemakers who love wars and interfering in other countries' affairs, and their wishes are heavily promoted by their girlfriends, the mainstream media, who pave the way for politicians to send children from the working class to fight strangers in foreign countries, creating the conditions that breed refugees. And then the same mainstream media turns around to complain about refugees to the same working class. Listen, in my village they say, whoever teases a wasp nest must know how to run fast.
As you've seen the video, that is something I've constantly talked about. I've talked about the UK, I've talked about the US, I've talked about Australia, I've talked about Germany. Like, all these countries in the Western countries are so freaking tired of seeing immigrants in their countries. And of course, yeah, you might say like, oh, the reason why we Africans or other groups of people are going in their countries is because of the instability that their governments cause into our countries, which I totally understand. But then at the end of the day, we need to flip the coin and bring it on our side. Let's say African people. Why are we still blaming the other groups of people when they are being accepted and allowed to come and exploit Africa by our own leaders? Like, that's something we need to really put a lot of attention on, because at the end of the day, as immigrants, as people, we always look for places that are better for everyone. Everyone is always looking for a place that they can go and, thrive. I have traveled myself too. I've traveled to Dubai when I wanted to elevate myself in a way. A lot of people go to different places where they see that's where potential is. Yes, there is circumstances. It can be war, it can be poverty, it can be anything, it can be even education. So for us to leave our countries, of course, there is things that make us do. But at the end of the day, the people in these countries of the Western countries, especially if you are an African person, they will still not give you the respect that you deserve as a being, because at the end of the day, they see you in a light of you are nothing. I mean, even when I've seen people in big positions like, let's say law or medicine, or even in political spaces, they still don't respect people from, let's say, countries of Africa. So for someone to come and say they even want to pay you to leave their country, it means they are fed up of you. They are tired of seeing you in their countries, especially those that probably are not even doing anything to elevate their countries. Also understood, they said if you had citizenship and you still decided that you wanted to leave, you would go and they would accept it, but still you would lose your citizenship and go back home. And I'm guessing if you take that opportunity, you're not allowed to come back to Sweden. That I didn't quite understand, but it looked like that. But at the end of the day, I mean, if someone is willing to give you $34,000 or 25,000 pounds, let's say you come from Uganda or you come from African countries, I think it's a good deal. It might be I feel like it's kind of a trick to register people or to get people that, of course, are not in those premises legally. Because at the end of the day, this whole saga is mostly for people that come in illegally in those countries and seek asylum. So I feel like this is the only way or trick they have to use to get people's attention. But I mean, if it's legit, why don't you take on that opportunity? Maybe you can even take the money and go to another place, who knows? Because really, you left your country, you sold things, and probably things are not even going well for you, or you passed through the oceans and you survived, right? And then here you are, they're offering you this huge chunk of money that is able to literally change your life if you go back to your country. So I think it's a good deal, but at the end of the day, is it the right decision? Is it the right solution? Have we reached a point where people are so tired of us that they have to pay us to leave? But then again, when you come back in your country, even though you're given that money, are you able to utilize it and do better in your country, or you're still going to yearn to go to other countries? It's going to be a cycle. I think this problem can be solved in a way, especially coming from African people, African perspective, that no one from the Western countries just comes and steals from the continent. Let's stop putting the stealing part out there. Let's be open and say things as they are. I've talked about the president of Kenya, I've talked about the presidents of some African countries, I've talked about even my own country. The Chinese, the Russians, the Americans or the Europeans, these groups of people, in the past, they came with their entitlement, uninvited. I can totally understand. But then in 2024, there is no one from the Western countries who just comes and steals and takes without anything signed by our own people. Oh yeah, they come and take, like the Chinese people, let's say they are so much in my country right now. I would say they're more than the Indians at this point. Do they just come and steal without the government knowing about it? Like, do they just come and get these chunks and chunks of land without the people in power knowing? I think these problems can be solved in a way. I think we can help, or we can try to develop our own countries where conflicts can be controlled or stopped if our leaders really cared about their own people and their countries. Guys, I see a number of Ugandans living at the airport. If you go there to pick up someone or just to travel, the number of Ugandans that are rushing to leave Uganda is crazy. Going to the UAE places, going to American places, going to other places to ask for asylum, to seek asylum, or just leave the country. Why are we put in a position where we are leaving our countries to look for better opportunities, and then we reach there, they are also pushing us away? So we are in a push and struggle, and then you hear how the leaders we have in our continent are paying like thousands of dollars to travel to different destinations, how our heads of states are putting a plane to go and have a summit, and they spend like thousands of dollars. How like our people in leadership, how they always do things that really keep us in poverty, in slavery, in misery. And so we need to look at the right places. Yes, you might be pissed on why these people are pushing us away from their countries, which I really second sometimes. You know, I don't want to be like, oh, we are deserving, we need to be there. You know, our ancestors built those places, our people built those places. Yes, we might have built those places, but at this end and this time of 2024, we should be really looking into ourselves and really stop blaming other people and blame our own that are not doing better for us to stay in our countries. These things can be worked on if we had people that really cared. The way those people are caring for their countries, it should be that same patriotic way when it comes to African countries, you know. So it's really a sad situation at this point in time where we are not wanted. Like, literally, we are not wanted. We are not wanted even in our own continent. We are still not wanted in the outside world. But then still, it doesn't take away the fact that the Western governments are a big influence of why there's a lot of immigrants going to their countries. Because I mean, if your governments cannot let go of these developing countries, as you call them, third world countries, how do you expect people to stay in those countries and not come to your places? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you want to go and attack someone's house, but then you don't want those people to come to look for shelter and safety in your house, but you want to attack them and still tell them to stay there and never like try to look for freedom elsewhere. Like, it just doesn't sit right. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about this. Do you think it's legit? Are they being real? Is it a scam? Are they just trying to get people's attention and, like, you know, put them in a box and just put them back where they came from? Should people take the money and go back home? Should they stay and still push to make it in those countries? You know, let me know what you think about this, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm always posting. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.